Obi-Wan Kenobi might be the unluckiest man in the galaxy. He lost his master to a Sith. He lost his apprentice to the dark side. He lost his order to betrayal. And he lost his entire purpose, to exile on a desert planet with nothing but guilt for company. Most people would have crumbled under even one of those losses. Obi-Wan carried them all. And yet he never quit. He kept training, he kept fighting, and he kept believing that protecting Luke mattered more than his own broken life. That kind of resilience is not flashy. It is not the stuff of legends, but it is what kept the Star Wars galaxy alive, long enough for a new hope to emerge. Obi-Wan's strength was never about power. It was about persistence. Think about how different Star Wars looks when you see it through Obi-Wan's story. He is not the chosen one. He is not the symbol of redemption. He is the man who stands in the middle, holding the line even when the galaxy falls apart. He is the glue that binds the saga together, even as he loses everything that matters to him. That is why Obi-Wan is so compelling. Because he is not perfect. He is not invincible. He is relatable. He is the character who proves that resilience is more important than victory. That showing up every day matters more than being the strongest or the most gifted. He proves that even when you lose everything, you can still choose to keep going. Obi-Wan's story is not one of triumph, it is one of survival. And survival is often harder than victory. It takes strength to win a battle, but it takes a different kind of strength to endure decades of failure and still find purpose. That is the heart of his character and why he remains the emotional centre of the saga. In this video, we're going to explore why Obi-Wan never quit even after everything was taken from him, how his resilience shaped the fate of the galaxy, and why his endurance matters more than any lightsaber duel. Obi-Wan Kenobi's story begins with loss and never really lets up. From the very first film, he is introduced as a man living in exile, haunted by the past. But even if you go back to The Phantom Menace, his journey is already defined by grief. He loses Qui-Gon right in front of him. He is thrust into the role of Jedi Knight and mentor long before he is ready. And instead of buckling under that pressure, he accepts the responsibility and carries it forward. That moment alone tells you everything about who Obi-Wan is. Most Jedi in his position would have crumbled. He was barely more than a Padawan himself, and now he had to guide the Chosen One. It was not just a challenge, it was a burden. Obi-Wan never asked for Anakin. As his apprentice, he promised Qui-Gon he would train him. That is not destiny, that is obligation. And yet he honours it with everything he has, even when he clearly doubts the prophecy and his own ability to handle it. The Clone Wars showed just how much this cost him. Obi-Wan was one of the only Jedi who genuinely tried to balance compassion with duty. He had feelings for Satine Kryze, but denied himself any chance at happiness because of the Jedi Code. He fought in endless battles across the galaxy, while still trying to be a moral compass. And despite being surrounded by death and betrayal, he never turned away from the path he thought was right. His resilience was tested in every episode, and he never gave in to despair. Compare that to Anakin. Anakin faced the same wars, the same heartbreak, and the same impossible expectations. But he collapsed under the weight of it. Obi-Wan endured. He embodied what the Jedi claimed to be even when the Order itself lost its way. If the Jedi Code had more Obi-Wans and fewer self-righteous dogmatists, maybe the Order would have survived longer. Obi-Wan was flawed, but he always kept moving forward. And then came the ultimate betrayal. Watching Anakin turn into Darth Vader should have broken him completely. He trained him. He trusted him. He loved him. Like a brother. And in the span of a few hours, he had to fight him, burn him alive, and walk away believing he had failed the entire galaxy. No person should have been able to come back from that. But Obi-Wan did. He put one foot in front of the other, and he kept going. Revenge of the Sith makes it clear that Obi-Wan is holding everything together by sheer willpower. When Yoda goes into exile, you can see the difference. Yoda retreats to lick his wounds. Obi-Wan retreats too, but with a mission. He has Luke to protect. He has something bigger than his own guilt to live for. That is what keeps him from collapsing into despair, like the rest of the survivors. It is easy to look at Obi-Wan as just another Jedi Knight who happened to survive Order 66. But his survival is not luck. It is endurance. It is his refusal to quit, even when the galaxy burns around him. He keeps fighting even when the fight looks hopeless. And that quality makes him one of the most human characters in all of Star Wars. Most heroes in fiction are defined by victory. Obi-Wan is defined by persistence. He loses almost every major battle of his life. He loses Qui-Gon, he loses Anakin. He loses Satine. He loses the Jedi Order. And yet he never loses himself. That is a kind of heroism that Star Wars does not often celebrate. But it is maybe the most important kind of heroism of all. Obi-Wan Kenobi's story is not a tale of triumph. It is a tale of survival, and that is why it matters so much. The years of exile on Tatooine show us just how strong Obi-Wan's endurance really was. Think about what his life looked like during that time. He went from General of the Republic to a man hiding in the desert, watching a child from afar. That is not just a downgrade, it is a prison sentence. Yet Obi-Wan embraced it because he believed Luke's safety was worth more than his own happiness. The Disney Plus series Kenobi gave us a deeper look at how crushing this isolation was. Obi-Wan is shown living like a ghost. He buries his lightsaber in the sand, he hides his Force abilities, and he works a meaningless job to keep a low profile. He is not just hiding from the Empire, he is hiding from himself. And yet even in that state, he never abandons his duty. He stays close to Luke even when it hurts him to see what he has lost. What makes this period so fascinating is how different it is from other Star Wars heroes. Luke runs off to fight Vader. Anakin runs off to pursue power. But Obi-Wan stays put. He commits to a role that has no glory, no recognition, and no hope of reward. That level of sacrifice is almost harder than charging into battle, because it requires you to keep going even when you see no progress, no payoff, and no chance of being thanked. The series also shows how broken Obi-Wan truly is. His confrontation with Vader reveals the guilt and the trauma he carries. He blames himself for Anakin's fall and for the death of the Jedi. But when faced with Vader again, he finds the strength to rise up, to fight not for revenge, but for protection. It is not about proving himself. It is about making sure Luke and Leia have a chance at the future he no longer believes he deserves. This is why Obi-Wan stands out compared to other Jedi. He does not cling to dogma or prophecy anymore. He clings to the small things, protecting Luke, honouring Leia, doing whatever he can with the little he has left. That shift makes him more human and more relatable than the almost saint-like Jedi of the Old Republic. Obi-Wan's exile also makes him a symbol of quiet endurance. He is not leading armies anymore, but he is still resisting in his own way. By surviving, by holding on, by refusing to let the galaxy break him completely. That kind of resilience is easy to overlook, but it is what keeps the spark of rebellion alive, even if no one else ever knew about it. And when you think about it, Obi-Wan's resilience is exactly what makes Luke possible. Without him, Luke never survives to become the hero of the saga. Obi-Wan's persistence is the invisible backbone of the entire original trilogy. He is the reason Luke has a chance to blow up the Death Star. He is the reason Leia has a chance to lead the rebellion. His endurance is the hidden foundation of everything we know. So when we look at those years of sand and silence on Tatooine, we should not see failure or weakness. We should see strength. We should see a man who kept going when everyone else had quit. That is not just survival. That is heroism in its rawest form. Obi-Wan Kenobi is not remembered for those quiet years. But those years are the reason he matters. Obi-Wan's story comes full circle in A New Hope, and it is here that his refusal to quit becomes clearest of all. When he finally reveals himself to Luke, he is no longer the broken hermit we saw on Tatooine. He is calm, focused, and ready to sacrifice himself for the next generation. His duel with Vader is not about winning. It is about making sure Luke and Leia escape. It is the ultimate act of endurance, to stand in the face of death and choose to become more powerful in the long run by letting go. That moment has often been framed as Obi-Wan giving up. But that is not true. It is the final step in a lifetime of persistence. He has carried pain and loss for decades, and in that final duel he finally turns it into purpose. He becomes part of the Force, but more importantly, he becomes a guide for Luke. He passes on everything he has endured in a way that will last beyond his own life. The fact that Obi-Wan never quit, even after losing everything, makes him the moral core of Star Wars. Luke may be the hero, Anakin may be the tragic figure, but Obi-Wan is the bridge between them. He is the proof that resilience matters as much as power, that survival can be as heroic as victory. It is also why fans connect so deeply with him. Everyone has faced setbacks, betrayals, or moments when life feels impossible. Obi-Wan embodies the idea that you can keep going anyway. He does not win every fight. In fact, he loses most of them. But he keeps showing up. He keeps trying. And that is why he feels more real than any chosen one ever could. Even Vader seems to respect that resilience. In their final duel, you can see the strange recognition between them. Vader won the battle, but he never truly broke Obi-Wan. And deep down, he knows it. That is why Obi-Wan's influence lingers even after he is gone. Star Wars often celebrates flashy victories, but Obi-Wan's story reminds us that perseverance is often more powerful than triumph. It is not about winning, it is about refusing to give in. That is what makes Obi-Wan's legacy so vital. His endurance also reframes the saga itself. The Jedi fail, the Republic collapses, the Sith rise and fall. But Obi-Wan's steady persistence keeps the thread alive. Without him, there is no rebellion, no Luke, no redemption. He is the quiet force holding the story together while bigger names grab the spotlight. This is why Obi-Wan never truly fades from Star Wars. He is always there as a reminder that resilience matters more than prophecy. That survival can be just as heroic as destiny. Obi-Wan Kenobi is not just a Jedi Knight. He is the embodiment of perseverance, the man who never quit.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.